My name is Josh Berer. I am a classically trained Arabic calligrapher based in Washington, D.C., and I'm here at the Hillier Gallery standing in front of a piece that's entitled, If Only You'll Hear the Advice I Provide. This is a Bedouin poetry from southern Palestine that I've written in classical Islamic calligraphy. I used three styles in this piece. The first 5 iterations of the piece are in Sulus and Nesikh style calligraphy, and the last piece is in Talik. I was lucky enough to receive an Impart artist grant from the Qatar America Institute for Culture in order to produce this piece, which is a piece that I've been thinking about for a long time, and I hadn't really had an opportunity in my life to sit down and really take the months that would be required to do the piece, and I'm very honored and lucky to have been able to accomplish this. I lived with the community that produced this particular poem for a couple of years, and I have a tremendous amount of respect and love for that community. And I had read this book of oral poems that had been recorded in the 1970s. The poet Mustar Saleh Amir is unfortunately passed on about 50 years ago, and he left a tremendous body of poetry, but because most of it is oral poetry, it never had a chance to really be written down. And so part of the thinking of this piece was that I wanted to kind of etch just one of his poems into the physical space, and I used the calligraphy that would be traditional in that part of the world to do it. The borders that I used are all handmade paper, and every other piece is bordered by traditional tatriz designs, so it's embroidery designs from Palestine. The work that I generally do has to do, I draw from a lot of sources. Not all of them are poetry, some of them are religious texts, others are philosophy and cosmology texts, and generally speaking, what I'm trying to do when I do a piece of calligraphy is make a statement that is a comment on our world through the words of people that lived oftentimes many centuries ago. And what I'm trying to do in that sense is I'm speaking, it's my words, but it's not my words. It's a commentary on our world, but it's also a commentary on the world that the author themselves lived in. So it's trying to give a kind of temporality to the human experience and bring words from previous generations into the current context, while at the same time using classical techniques and motifs in the work. I understand and I realize that in an English-speaking country, it's kind of difficult to connect with pieces that are in another language. And we have the translation provided, but part of the experience of viewing calligraphy is just kind of letting the whether or not you're connected to the words themselves, but just letting the motion and the energy of the calligraphy kind of wash over you. And even if you're not an Arabic speaker or you didn't look up the translation when looking at the piece, part of what I'm trying to do is give some energy and kind of kinesis to the language itself and the calligraphy and the script. My future plans as an artist are currently up in the air. I'm at a kind of crossroads in my career where I'm not entirely sure whether I want to continue to do the classical thing that I've been doing for the past decade or so, and or kind of pivot into a more contemporary look. It's keeping me up at night, if we're being honest.